My next guest is finally going to be making her UFC debut coming up here at UFC 254 on October 24th. It is Miranda Maverick joining me here on the program. Miranda, how's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me.
No, it's great to talk to you. I was just looking up on Skype. The last time you and I did an interview was August of 2018. So obviously a lot's happened since then. You got into the UFC. Obviously, congratulations on that. What a monumental achievement so far in your career. But I know obviously that the debut was supposed to happen in June. From my understanding was that, they did the pre-fight medicals, found out you had an injury, and they were putting you off the card. What exactly happened there for those who might not know?
Well, for those who don't know, I'm going to be honest, I'm not disclosing the actual details, but during the medicals, we found an injury that was undetected before. I had no idea about that, ultimately kept me from fighting and could have threatened my entire career as well. Luckily, I had medical procedure to take care of that. And it was honestly ended up at the end of it being a blessing in disguise that I went to the UFC and they had those extra medicals that they did, because had I been in Invicta, they would have never caught it, and wouldn't say my life would have been in jeopardy, but my quality of life definitely would have been.
That's crazy. I didn't realize it was that serious. So thank God they figured it out and did all that. Was there ever a point throughout that process you thought your career might be over? Because you never know. Sometimes they do find stuff in the medical stuff and it's you never know.
The first 2 weeks after I found the medicals and stuff, I thought my life was basically over. I thought my career was over. I thought school was not going to be able to be done. It was a very serious issue, to the point that my parents especially are still skeptical about me going in and fighting, and we're having to take a lot of care and concern throughout fight camps, and throughout my career I'm going to be very cautious.
Well, it's good. I mean, at least, you kind of are aware of it. And I mean, it's not good that this is happening, but it's good that at least you're, taking the precautions and everything else. When did you get back to training after that whole thing happened? Did you take a lot of time off, or when did you actually get back in the gym?
I took, I guess the minimum time that most people would, me being young and healthy and everything, definitely helped the recovery process. I think it was beginning of September when I started going into full sparring and everything. I think it was mid-August when I stepped back into the gym though. I literally was my coaches basically banned me from the gym. They were like, do not show up to the gym for the next 2 months, because I'm stubborn and I'll show up in there. And they were afraid I was, not helping the healing process. That's
crazy. And so what are you doing during that time? Because I know you're used to training and balancing everything like you've been sort of used to throughout your career. That must have been a very difficult time for you.
We say that it was definitely difficult mentally, but at the same time, it offered me this chance to kind of reset, focus on school. And for the first time in my adult life, I was able to eat what I wanted for just a few weeks, and still watching my weight, of course. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a burger. I'm going to have ice cream.
Nice.
It was really nice to have that break, that reset, because I felt like when I came back to training, I was training just as harder than I ever had. The motivation was back up to par. Everything was going forward 100%, especially after you get something that's almost life-threatening, and then you see that all these opportunities are in front of you for a reason. You go at it 10 times harder.
And for those who don't know, what are you taking in school, and are you finished, or are you still completing that?
So I'm still completing it. I'm in the route of getting my PhD in industrial organizational psychology. I will be turning in my master's thesis within the next month. So I've got a lot of stress on my shoulders right now. I've been working on my master's thesis every day and night for the past 2 months. And of course, me going over to Abu Dhabi and everything, I've been trying to get ahead on schoolwork and do what I can. But I also teach on the side. I teach undergraduates at my school. And that way I get basically a full ride with my PhD. They pay me to do my TA work.
Very cool. Well, good for you. That's awesome. You're able to balance it, and good to see you have something outside of fighting as well, like you said, with your education. So that's really awesome that you're able to kind of balance all that. Was there a point when you thought maybe I'll delay the debut, let's finish school, or were you just because it seems like in your personality you're like, I can take on anything, right?
That's pretty much it. I went to MMA knowing I was going to try to do it through college. That's when I started becoming a pro, is when I hit college, went into grad school, knew I wanted to do it, literally moved to the college I did because of gyms that were around it. So, those are very, I would guess, very balanced priorities. I want to have something that I can go back to after I'm done fighting and have this successful background for myself as something to fall back on. And either way, I want to be able to say, hey, I did the best I could do in education and everything else. And it's one of those opportunities that I would have never taken because I didn't really want to be in school for a lot of my life. I don't like school, but God just kept putting opportunities in front of me and got a full ride to this school, and it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, so I took it.
Are you excited to go to Fight Island? I know some fighters would prefer to fight in Vegas. Some fighters are like, hey, this is a once in a lifetime thing. How are you viewing this whole experience?
A little bit of both, honestly. I think the worst part that I've had to deal with about it being in Abu Dhabi is my father isn't going to get to go. That's a huge hurt to me, like he's always been there. It's my UFC debut, and the person who's brought me to my dream isn't going to be able to be there in person to see it happen. So that's saddening. We could have planned ahead better, but we didn't. Passport didn't come in time. It is what it is. But the card out there is just so exciting. I'm on the biggest card, I think, of 2020. I'm absolutely amazed that I'm going to be out there on that card, get that exposure, and to just be in the UFC in general is a dream come true. But I want to get even higher, and I think that exposure helps me get that. So I'm very happy it's the one in Abu Dhabi doing what I'm doing. Of course, it would be nicer to be at home because I wouldn't have to take 2 weeks off of school and everything else. But I'm going to roll with the punches and do what I can do to make it happen.
Let's talk about your opponent here, Liana Jojoua, 8-3 record, very experienced. How do you feel like you match up against her here?
I think they did a great matchup. I think it's a good one. For my debut, they matched somebody that has, I guess, the same similar skill set that people see. Like when they look at us from the outside, they're like, they're both grapplers. This will be interesting. So I think they did that from a very well-matched perspective. I do feel like, as usual, my strength is going to play a huge factor in this fight. I think I can just bully her wherever we go. I've heard a rumor that she doesn't want to go to the ground with me. That's probably a smart decision on her part. But I feel very confident in the striking too. As you, I'm sure, have seen, and other fans of mine, I've definitely improved over the past 2 years in my striking so much. Like, it's insane. And I don't know what fight she's watching that she thinks my stand-up's still really bad. I feel like I just choose now whether I want to do standing or ground fighting. It's not, oh no, I need to take it to the ground because I'm in trouble. So I'm so excited no matter where this fight goes. I don't see her as a huge threat, but I'm training like she's the hardest opponent I've ever faced. And I'm going to train like I'm fighting for that world title.
Who are some of the bodies that are helping you get ready for this fight in terms of training partners?
Mainly men, to be honest. We have one guy that fights at 135 that's been in there almost daily helping me prepare and sparring. My two coaches have been very primary partners for me just because of the previous medical situation. We're being careful with who I go with. And we have a couple girls within the gym, but unfortunately, like nobody big that I can name really.
But could be big. That's the cool thing, right? You're part of this sort of, up and comers, right? So
That's right.
Very cool.
But at the House of Muay Thai, I have a great group of training partners in the room and great coaches that are helping me get ready.
The weight cut, how's that going? Got to ask, only because, like I said, you're supposed to fight in June, and then you talked about, obviously wanting to enjoy yourself a little bit. Has that process been good, especially with your schedule? I imagine it's tough to probably eat healthy.
It's definitely not tough to eat healthy. Okay. I think that's somebody's excuse to, that don't have willpower. You know what I mean? It's very, very easy for me to put my mind to something and do it. I mean, just don't shove ice cream and sugar in your mouth and boom, you got it. But over the time, I said I enjoyed myself. I never got you
didn't go crazy with it, right? Yeah.
Never explode in between fight camps. I never do any of that. I always stay. When I say I'm fat, it means I've gained 3 to 5 pounds, maybe. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm fat. I can't see my 6-pack anymore. And people are like, just shut up. And so this time, I'm sitting around 140 right now, and I'm not even starting my cut yet. I'm eating full. I have full energy. I'm ready to go, and I can easily cut 12 pounds of water, but we're going to play it safe and get down to about 10.
Does the weight cut alter a little bit just because you are traveling and, obviously being on the plane, you retain water and all that? Is that something I'm sure you've sort of strategized for?
I've definitely strategized for it. I think the most difficult part will be the whole quarantining and not having the same access to training facilities. But we've prepared for that. That's why I'm going to cut a couple extra pounds just in weight before we go out there. Sauna suits, bath. I don't think they're going to have like Epsom salt and things like that available. So we're also preparing for that. But weight cut shouldn't be an issue at all. 125 is my home. It is hard to get to, but it's not, life draining or anything.
So you mentioned your dad's not going to be in your corner. Who will be making the trip with you?
So actually my boyfriend, Peter Holbold, and also my coach, my primary coach, Jake Chamberlain, unfortunately, we were very rushed to find people to go out with me. And I would have reached out to other coaches and things to find someone more jiu-jitsu oriented, because my own jiu-jitsu coach had like military obligations he had to deal with. But it is what it is. My dad was supposed to be able to come, and October 5th was like just a couple days ago was the deadline for him to get his passport to be able to come. That's officially not going to happen. So I needed some kind of support that'll be able to pick me up half dead out of bathtubs and put me in wrapped towels. So that's why I picked the people I did.
How's this fight playing out on October 24th? You feel like you're going to win, but how do you envision the fight unfolding?
I think she's going to come in cautious of takedowns, cautious of the ground game, and I think that's going to prove a benefit for me even in the striking game, because I can fake and shade in takedowns and change my levels and make her worried about that and end up capitalizing on the striking. I wouldn't be surprised if it's ended in the first round, but I'm ready for a decision if that's the case too, and ready to go all 3 rounds.
Miranda, thanks so much for the time. I know you got a COVID test to do, so I'll let you get out of here. But if you want to thank anyone, if you got any sponsors or social media you want to plug, I'll give you the last word.
Okay. If you guys don't mind, go follow me on Instagram. That's the primary social media right now. It's at @FearTheMaverick _HOMT for the House of Muay Thai, my gym. I also have Miranda Fear the Maverick on Facebook that you can go follow. It's my athlete page. And then, of course, you can also keep up with my sponsors. I have Victory Beef. I have Top Mount Apparel, Girl Clothing. There's lots of them out there that are supporting me daily, including like Yotun, that's my gi and more jiu-jitsu based sponsor. So go check them out. Keep up with my social media, and you'll see all the perks of being an athlete.